Unforgiveness is the kind of pride that can deny us the mercies of God. God's nature is forgiving, which is why we are able to come into his righteousness and to be in his image. So when he relates to us, he reveals his forgiving nature to us. And that is also to teach us how to forgive one another. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 12, when Jesus was teaching the Lord's Prayer, he said, and ask that he will forgive us our debts as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's a principle that has been established by looking at how God has forgiven you, you also forgive others. In Matthew chapter 18 from the verse 21, Jesus gave a parable about the unforgiving servant who was forgiving a greater debt by his master, because he pleaded and asked for forgiveness, and the master was moved with compassion. Now, the debt that he had to pay off was way higher than what his fellow servant was owing him. In fact, he was supposed to be sold along with his wife and children to compensate for the amount of money that he was owing his master. But the master was moved by compassion when he pleaded. And then he goes out and meets a fellow servant who is owing him about 100 of the money that he was owing his master, and then he drags the fellow servant to prison, refusing to hear any plea that the person was making. The master heard it, and look at the response that the master gave him in Matthew chapter 18, the verse 32 to 34. The master called him and said to him, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you?" And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that was due to him. Now, Jesus concluded the parable by saying in Matthew 18, the verse 35, that so my heavenly Father will also do to you if each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. Because forgiveness is demanded of us, even when someone has offended us, Jesus put the responsibility on us to initiate the resolution process. In Matthew chapter 8, in the verse 15 to 17, he said, "Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his faults between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he would not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he refuses to hear them, tell it to the church. But if he refuses even to hear the church, let him be to you like a heathen and a tax collector." Meditate further on this. Forgiving others as we have been forgiven. God bless you, and I'll see you another day.